Weeks ago was Jesus and racism, right? The thing we talked about last week was Jesus and relationships, or Jesus and friendships, right? And then tonight we are going to be talking about the third R, Jesus and politics. And so there's a, just kidding, that's a P, it's not an R. It doesn't begin with that. When you tell a joke that everyone misses, that's how you know it's a good one. So I have a really good friend who is he is a super big Trump supporter, okay? I know, he would say that it's the only logical thing, okay? I have a super good friend who hates Trump. And there's this weird divide between people in our country right now. And we all know, I'm sure at this point, what side we're on. We all know how we probably feel about a candidate, Joe Biden or Donald Trump or whatever. And so tonight we're going to be talking about the idea of what really matters in these conversations. Because the reality is this: as Christians, we're called to make a difference in the world. And one of the ways that you do make a difference is by participating in the political system, right? Whether that's through advocacy, support, or whatever. But another way you make a difference is by realizing that the system isn't the ultimate answer to these problems, right? Because we can put it very simply. When we have people who have been in government like Joe Biden for almost 50 years, things have gotten better, some things haven't really changed. And then when you have somebody like President Trump, who's been in office for 4 years, some things have gotten better and some things haven't changed. What that tells us is that whenever human beings are in control, things are going to be both good and bad, right? And so the ultimate answer that we believe as the church is that Christ is the one who fixes things. That Christ is the one who has the ability to help people not be racist. That Christ is the one who has the ability to help people learn. That Christ is the one who has the ability to motivate people like us in his church to go out and care about our neighbors. So tonight we're going to be talking about the power that allegiance has. Because where your allegiance is, your heart is going to be there also. Right? So allegiance is a very fancy way of saying the thing that you care about the most. So what's most important to you? So take a moment in your head and just think about, where do you spend most of your time? What do you spend most of your time on? What do you do when no one's around and you can just hang out? For some of us, it's make TikTok videos, okay? Yeah, sure, right? I can do the renegade dance as well as anybody else in this amphitheater. That's not true. I don't know how to do the renegade dance. I didn't even know that was a song. Anyway, some of us make TikTok videos. Some of us watch sports. I feel like I'm dying. Some of us watch sports, all right? Some of us really enjoy the internet. Some of us hate Netflix, whatever. But wherever you spend your time, whatever you focus on, that's where your allegiance lies. And so tonight we're going to talk about how allegiance is three things. Allegiance is representation, commitment, and action. You see, we need to be representatives of Jesus. Our commitment to Jesus needs to be above any other commitment to any political party or any person. And our walk with God is more than a decision. It's about our dedication. You see, our goal is we should have allegiance to our church and our godly influences. We may not agree with everything our church and friends do, but it's necessary for us to be in step with them as we live out our lives and our walk with Christ. One of the easiest ways you can do this as a young person is by simply sharing the posts that you see go up on CSM. I reached out to a couple people last week and asked them, or last night rather, and asked them to share our bumper, that little video that was on our page. And I did a comparison of what happens when people like you guys who follow the page actually share it to your own stories on Instagram. So on a normal post, anything that we'll put up reaches about 10% of our audience because of the algorithm. So we have a little over 500 people that follow us, so that means about 60 people or so will see any given post at any given time. 2 people, we just did a very, very, very small sample size test. 2 people shared our post, put it on their wall or put it on their story, and invited their friends to church. Just said, if you want to come with me, let us know. The very next day, today, I came back and I was looking at it. Our exposure doubled, right? So we went from about 60 profiles that saw that to 120 profiles, and 18% of the people that saw that post were people that didn't follow us and didn't come to our church. And as a result, one of those people actually reached out to the person who posted it and said, hey, I might actually come tonight. There, and then bailed at the last minute just because of something that they had to do. But a conversation was started by somebody simply sharing a post on their story and said, if you want to come to church with me, it's not creepy. We don't do weird stuff. We're not going to try and like eat your soul when nobody's looking. Like, there's nothing strange about being here. But that offering of community ended up reaching twice as many people as it normally would. And 20% of them were people who don't go to church and people who don't have a relationship with Jesus. And so when you guys are thinking about where your allegiance lies, when you guys are thinking about the things that are important to you, when you begin to consider what's a small way that you can take a step to become more involved with church stuff, with CSM, with inviting your friends, man, I don't know anything easier than putting something in your story and saying, hey, if you're interested and you want to come to church, let me know. You don't have to do anything weird. You don't have to send it to anybody. But the very fact that you're willing to do that is a conversation starter. So those are the types of things that we're talking about. Our first point tonight is allegiance is sacrifice. This is not a hard sacrifice to make, the story I just shared, right? How many of you guys have an Instagram? Put your hand up. There. How many of you guys follow us on Instagram? Put your hand up. There. How many of you guys shared our post last night and invited your friends to church? There. Yeah. You should feel bad. No, I'm just kidding. All right. That's okay. You're forgiven. God told me to tell you you're forgiven. No, I'm just kidding. So, I mean, not kidding that you're forgiven. Not kidding. I'm just kidding that God told me to tell you. But you're forgiven. So anyway, those are small sacrifices you can make, right? Hebrews 13, 15, and 16 says, therefore let us offer through Jesus a continual sacrifice of praise to God, proclaiming our allegiances to his name. And don't forget to do good and to share with those in need. These are the sacrifices that please God. You see, when we say yes to Jesus, it means that we are also saying no to other things, right? Saying no is a specific sacrifice too. So when we participate in things of the kingdom, when we participate in things of the world, those are two different participations. And when we say yes to something of the world, it usually means we're saying no to something of Jesus and vice versa. All right, the second thing. Our allegiance to Jesus is always going to be tested. Raise your hand if you've been baptized. Okay. Raise your hand if somebody from CSM baptized you there in this current setting. Okay. It doesn't just have to be me. It can be people from the past or people from now. Keep your hand up, keep your hand up, keep your hand up, keep your hand up. Okay. All right. So it's only about half. So the idea here is that your allegiance to Christ is going to be tested. When Jesus says, follow me, it means other things need to not get in the way. Hebrews 13, 16. Nope, just kidding. Nope, I read the wrong verse. All right. So the decisions we make reflect what we are committed to. If you're continuing to follow the world, then it's clear that we're committed to the world. Now, it's not an easy decision to make, right? When we are dedicated to following God, bad things happen in our lives. COVID 2020 is an example of something bad happening. How many of you guys have had something horrific that you would describe as horrific happen to you this year? That you think is terrible, no good, awful, awful. Okay? Put your hand up again, if that's you. Okay? We all know bad things have happened. We all know things that have walked through us and made us feel like we can't keep going. But when we're dedicated to God, we're dedicated to God through the sorrow, through temptation, through our anger, through our sacrifice. And it's that point when God becomes glorified. Because true allegiance to God is when we stay dedicated even when things are hard. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't wrestle with the stuff, right? Did anybody watch the debates last night?
Yes.
There? How enjoyable was it?
It was hilarious. It was really unprofessional.
Unprofessional, crazy, hilarious. What else? What's that? Not helpful. Okay. Anyone else? Any other feelings? Say it loud. Any other feelings? Not helpful, awful, terrible, hilarious. Anything else? Unprofessional. What? Train wreck. Did anybody think they were good? No. They weren't even entertaining after the first 20 minutes, right? They were terrible. There. And so as we deal with these conversations and as we deal with the difficulties that arise from them, we're people as followers of Jesus who have to be willing to take a side and stand up when things are not good. We're followers of Jesus who have to be willing to work with those who have been historically marginalized, right? Not just in the country, but in the church. Right? It's our job as people to love those that the rest of society ignores. It's our job as people to come alongside and help and encourage and support and be kind and love on the people who have been forgotten. If we want to make a real difference, that's how we're going to do it. There's a saying that a pastor named Andy Stanley that I really love. He says, do for one person what you wish you could do for every person, right? If you were to do for one what you wish you could do for the many, what would your life look like? That if you were an individual that was like, you know what? I can't change, the whole world. I'm not the king or queen of the world, but I can make a positive difference in someone's life, right? I can love someone well and do X, Y, Z for them. That would be a massive, massive improvement. That's one of the reasons why we have Connor up here telling you to say yes every week. 16 people stayed to help make signs on Sunday. And what was really neat to me was as a church, we got to pray and bless those signs both in English and in Spanish. Because the community that we're in Costa Mesa is an English-speaking community and it's a Spanish-speaking community. And all people matter to Jesus. And it's our job as the church to exemplify that and live that out better than everyone around us. Because if Christ is the answer to the problems of the world, then we are the people who carry that message. So when you participate, when you help, when you say yes to being here, you are making an eternal difference. When you show up to a place like tonight, you're making an impact that's going to be felt for generations to come. Because when you show up, when you're consistent, when you try your best, even if you don't make it every week, but you're still trying, you are making a difference that encourages the people around you to feel like they can keep going. I have talked to students who have come here who have said, I didn't feel like I belonged, I didn't feel like I fit, but I met so-and-so, and now I'm here. I met such and such, and that leader loved on me and was cool to me and didn't make me feel weird and wasn't creepy, and now I want to stay. So many of you have messaged me and talked about how you can talk to Kingman about any of your problems, and he's not going to make you feel weird or judge you. And when I say, hey, what's going on? You're like, nah, I don't trust you because you're weird, but I trust Kingman. And we go, yeah, that's great, right? Like that's what God calls us to do. And so when we're here, when we're people who make a difference, we are loving the world better than any political party, any political system ever could. And we know, again, this isn't to say that we just ignore politics because we need to interact with that. But you guys have to remember, I see so many of you posting so many political posts every minute of every day. We get caught up in these issues and we forget that the politics of the world are not our hope. Our hope is in Jesus. And so the goal out of that is to make sure that when we are posting political things, that's fine, but just don't forget about Jesus in the midst of all these things. Because allegiance at its core is helping those who are in need. Hebrews 13:16. Also, don't forget to do good and to share with those in need. When we read this scripture and only think of the poor, that's fine, right? But the writer of Hebrews was discussing any person with a need. This is why we encourage you to say yes so much. I got to take the posters that we made to Pomona Elementary School. Did anybody here go to Pomona Elementary? No? Does anybody here go to Estancia? There? Okay, we had a couple students who helped us on Sunday who were from Estancia. And getting to take the posters to the school and give them to the faculty, people were hyped. People were stoked that people would, from a church, would spend an hour writing like, welcome back Eagles, or like, stay safe, wear a mask, okay, whatever. And it was so excellent to see people from our youth group who are here tonight helping. Because those people are committed to making a difference, God gets to move. You see, allegiance to God is about sharing Jesus and being an example of Jesus to whomever we come into contact with. This isn't easy because a lot of us get mad. A lot of us get super upset at times. A lot of us hate what's going on in the political systems of the world, and that's fine. But none of that is an excuse to stop being Jesus, to stop showing people the example of Christ. Because the sacrifices you make for others will show others who Jesus is. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The sacrifice that you make for other people show other people who Jesus is. Does that make sense? The sacrifice you make for others, the way you love people, will show those people who Christ is. Allegiance at its core is all the things that we've talked about, but most importantly, it's loving Jesus with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And so this is what I want to encourage you with tonight. If you're somebody who has never said yes to Jesus before, okay, we're going to have a moment to do that, and we'll talk about that and what that looks like. If you're somebody who has said yes to Jesus but haven't been baptized yet, I want to encourage you to do that as well. Yeah. What's up, girl? Is that better? Okay. So if you're somebody who said yes to Jesus but you haven't been baptized, I want to give you an option to do that as well. Mason, can you put your hand up? Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me?
No.
There? Okay, so I don't know what's wrong, but whatevs. So Mason was baptized on Sunday there and said yes to Jesus. And it was absolutely awesome there because saying yes to Jesus is the first step in showing allegiance to the thing that's most important in the world, which is your walk with Christ. I'm looking around and I have seen most of you get baptized there, and that's incredible, but I know some of you have not, so we're going to pray for that as well. So would you pray with me tonight? God, we thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this world. We thank you that our voice makes a difference, whether we're 12, 18, 58, 78, whatever. That Jesus, that you have commanded us to love people on this planet. God, I want to pray for each of the students in here that the platforms that they exist on, social media and in real life, the influence they have, however big or small, would be one that is filled and permeated with your love and your goodness for your people on your planet. God, would the people of Costa Mesa and Newport Beach know that they are loved and cared for? Would people know that this place is one that they can come to and be cared about, and they can be accepted for who they are no matter where they are? God, would you help us move? Would you help us be world changers? Would we do for the one what we wish we could do for everyone?